My name is Bankole Oluwafemi, and I'm editor-in-chief of Cabal.com. I write about technology across Africa. We have writers in Lagos, in Kenya. We're looking to move in South Africa really soon. Of late, though, I've been working on a number of things. The most prominent has been a creative project with Watershed and the British Council on Playable City, Lagos.
And what is Playable Cities?
So Playable City is about getting people in the city to engage with the city in a playful way. It's about getting them to do interesting, serendipitous things that they ordinarily would not do because they are going about their daily lives. And there is that moment of magic, playfulness that you can inspire. And if people just stop for 1 minute to engage with that, then they might meet new people. They might have a joyous experience that will stay with them for the rest of their lives.
And you've got 3 teams working on very different projects. Describe the 3 ideas that you've been working on.
Yes, indeed. I'm really excited about what came out of the project in the 10 days. So there were 3 projects. The first one is Danphone. And if you know about a Danfo, it's like matatus in Kenya. It's public transport yellow buses in Lagos. The concept was to put 2 phones in 2 different Danfos, and anyone will be in one Danfo will be able to pick the phone up and talk to someone totally random, another Danfo. And the question, the premise behind that was, what would happen if 2 random people in 2 random Danfos had a conversation? Will they talk about their day? Will they share their life's troubles? Will they be able to help one another? Will they find love?
Yeah. Any number of things.
Any number of things could happen, and no one knows what will happen. So that was what made that project very interesting. We're really proud about what the Danphone team did. The second project is something called Jiggy Lagos. Jiggy means mirror, so you might as well call it Jiggy Mirror Lagos.
Yeah.
And what they did was that they put motion sensors, coupled that with a mirror and acoustic feedback. So when someone was walking past, the system will know and begin to talk to them and ask them things like, "How was your day?" or "What is the exchange rate currently?" and how do you feel about that? Or "You look really good today. Come turn around and let me see you." And that created all these really, really hilarious reactions when people were walking past and they stopped to interact with this thing that was apparently themselves talking back to them. Mind you, these things are prototypes, so they haven't figured out what the full experience is. And the third project, which I was a part of, is something called Fiber. What we did was we created a tree that is alive, and that tree invites you to interact with it and play with it. And because the tree is old, wise, and benevolent, it will teach you stuff and even give you gifts that are hyper-local. So it might give you a Wi-Fi password to use the internet, or that internet might be ring-fenced, or it might even tell you about local deals that are happening. So like, go 2 streets down, turn around, there's a restaurant there. If you tell them you came from Iggy, they'll give you 50% off.
And you've been working in Freedom Park.
Yes, indeed.
Which is a park near Marina on
Yes.
Island. What relationship does this have to public space? Because there's lots of parks in Lagos, but I never see anyone in them.
Absolutely. So Freedom Park has an interesting history. It used to be the colonial prison before it was torn down, and for about 100 years it just lay fallow. And quite a few prominent Nigerians have been imprisoned in that space. But for the whole time it lay fallow, no one knew what was going on. So a couple architects took it upon themselves to reclaim that space, and because of the symbolic nature of the place, decided to recreate it after the old fashion. And it has become a space that artists congregate, musicians, literature people, and every day now there's something happening there. You can go there and buy beer, but there's always literary festivals, exhibitions, musical, concerts and things. Most prominent is Afropolitan Vibes that happens every 3rd Friday of a month.
Yeah.
And so Freedom Park is symbolic in that it's one of those public spaces that actually actively encourages people to interact with it. We have about 179 parks in Lagos, but they're not actively used. And Freedom Park has come to symbolize one of the spaces that gives people permission to interact with it. So there was no better place for us to work from for this project.
And has the project generated a debate with people about what public space is and how the city is?
For the most part, Freedom Park is only one of those spaces. But like I said, we have 179 of those places. The great thing was that a few important people, prominent people, British Council, government, private entrepreneurs who are also working on landscape or urban development projects were able to see what we're working on, and that kind of, someone tweeted that your projects are tickling my brain in different ways that I never imagined possible. And what we're hoping is that those people will see what we worked on. There were prototypes that we spent about 2 or 3 days working on, but that will lead to a larger, bigger conversation about what we can do with the city, make it more habitable for the humans that live in it, make it more interesting, more serendipitous, make it more hospitable for both locals and tourists, because we have those opportunities. There's so many cultural relics that are being left abandoned. The other day I was at something called Pechakucha, there's the Museum of Traditional Nigerian Architecture. So many buildings are disappearing. A young man called Jerry Ikongyo has been documenting what Lagos looked like then and now by juxtaposing 2 pictures of the same spaces, and we're seeing that lots of iconic Nigerian architecture is disappearing, and we need to begin to become alive to the fact that we need to protect those spaces. So it's both our history, our heritage, and those public spaces have to become open to be able to interact with them, so we can just like benefit from that legacy.